What's going on, guys? I'm back with some more Minnesota Vikings franchise, and we have now finished Season 4. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are the Super Bowl champions, and it is time to go to the highly anticipated off-season. And so we're going to go on now for Season 5, and we're going to go first off and look at the staffing, as that is the first stage of the offseason. And I'm set here. I signed an entire new staff in the last offseason, and I was pretty happy with what I had. I got Derek Mason as my head coach, and I almost went for the Painted Nails hardware sponsorship, but I decided I didn't want the Metrodome to have a ridiculous name, or any more of a ridiculous name. So we go now in retirements. I was expecting this. Ryan Longwell, and I wasn't going to keep Shanko, and so he retires, and this one surprises me. Lorenzo Booker, and I was actually going to replace him too. So 3 guys done. Not a lot of retirements. I mean, you even still see Peyton Manning has not retired yet. You got Steve Smith, Ed Reed, Jonathan Abraham, Alindo Maury, Reggie Wayne, Jeff Saturday, and now it is time to go and re-sign those who have expired contracts. And of course, Kyle Rudolph, my #1 tight end, he's got to stay here for the long haul, giving him a big contract. And then I was thinking about Jim Kleinsasser. I'm surprised he has not retired yet, but I'm going to hold off right now. And then I go and sign TJ Stripling. I have some solid linebacker depth on this team. I'm going to give him a small 2-year offer. And then we're going to go and re-sign Ian Williams for the defensive line depth. And that's it, guys. I mean, look at all these guys I'm just going to let go. I didn't make as many re-signings as I did in the past couple of years. So guys like D'Angelo Hall, Tyrell Johnson are gone. And now we're going to go, and I'm going to trade away Michael Crabtree because I want a different #2 receiver. He was alright last year, nothing special. I'll get a 4th round for him, though. And I'm also going to trade Cedric Griffin away to the Houston Texans for a 5th round pick. And I'm going to go cut Emmanuel Arsenault. And keep in mind, Cecil Short's contract is expired, so that leaves 4 receivers on the active roster. And then I go ahead and I'm going to re-sign Jimmy Kleinsasser because solid fullback. And I'll just keep signing him to 1-year deals as long as I can. And now it's combine scouting, and I wasn't sure what I wanted to go for in the first round. I was probably going to take a best player available approach, possibly this McDougal guy to play safety, perhaps a linebacker. I also want another receiver, especially with trading away Michael Crabtree. And so combine scouting is getting to see some of the ratings. Christian Green, high speed. But I really wanted to figure out what I was going to do with my 1st round draft pick. And now we get to free agent bidding, and the highest overall is Ryan Kerrigan at 91. You can see Julius Peppers, Terrell Suggs, these guys are on the downswings of their career. Now looking at receivers, Anquan Bolden, old, slow. So I'm looking through to see what else there is. And hey, there's Eric Decker, the Minnesota Gopher. I had to slap a bid on him. I had to. Now go to center, a weak position for my offensive line. And Matt Burke, yes, I put a bid on him because maybe he could just be a little Band-Aid for me. And Kevin Williams is getting up there in years, so I'm going to go and put a bid on Phil Taylor. Middle linebacker, I was thinking about moving Chad Greenway around. I think that I have 2 solidified linebacker spots, but I didn't really see anybody here that caught my eye. And so you can see here, I'm battling with Tennessee to get Matt Burke, and I slap another bid down. And Ryan Longwell retired, so look who's available. Seabass. I put a bid on Sebastian Janikowski. Now go to strong safety. Taylor Mays has played all right, but we can do better with Adrian Wilson there. Another kind of a Band-Aid type of player. Has been in the league for 14 years. And I was just trying to bolster some of the weaker positions on this team. I thought about getting Sean Weatherspoon, but I have a lot of linebackers right now, a lot of solid depth, and I'm kind of happy where I'm at as far as linebackers go. And then running backs, there's D'Angelo Williams and Ryan Matthews that are just over 80 overalls. And with the retirement of Lorenzo Booker, I want a new 3rd down back. So I'm looking at someone who fits. I look at maybe Robbie Rouse. He has the speed. He played for Tampa Bay. I got to see him in that championship game. And whoa, 44 catching. I can't do that. So I go and sort it by catching, and I see Dexter McCluster. Good blend. He's got 91 speed, solid catching. I put a bid on Dexter McCluster. Now I go check out cornerback. We already have Claiborne and Fleming, very solid. But Sharice Wright, 95 man, 81 zone. I'm definitely going to be placing a bid on him. And I have to say that I was a little bit more active this free agent session than I ever have been in this series. I can't really make a big splash without really any big names being available at the high overall. And so you see here, I win all the bids that I wanted. Decker, Wright, McCluster, Janikowski, Burke, Wilson, and Taylor. There is the biggest free agent splash that you might get from me. And now we go towards the NFL draft. with some positions solidified a little bit. Maybe not going to go for strong safety in the first round, but now it's time for pro days. I'm really looking at wide receivers because, one, I love drafting receivers. I think it's a lot of fun to play with those skill position guys that are rookies. And one of the things I used to do when I used to play Madden on the PS2 was always draft running backs, but I have the luxury of having Adrian Peterson, and that is not necessary in the first round anymore. So I'm looking at this Lawrence Thomas. He's got a pretty high projected overall along with some speed, and I love linebackers with speed, so I was looking at him even though he's a late round prospect, and just finding 20 guys that I'm interested in mainly. Oh, and also this Holmes, I don't even want to try to pronounce his last name. He was the guy I was kind of looking at for my first round pick. I could start him on the outside, move Greenway to the outside and put Burfict back in the middle, or just really mix and match it a little bit. And now we go to individual workouts, which is really where you see what you can get out of 5 players. You get all their ratings, and importantly, you see their potential rating, which I don't think should be even in Madden 13. I'll probably make a video on that soon. But I'm looking at George Farmer, Christian Green, Lawrence Thomas, Holmes, this linebacker. I don't want to butcher his last name. And because I'm drafting at the bottom of the first round, I'm possibly looking at a second round prospect. I'm going to look at this Lewis Nix III because he's got great size, and I want a big-bodied defensive tackle that can remind me of Pat Williams when he played for the Vikings. So we see here Lawrence Thomas, C. The linebacker I was looking at is an A, and Lewis Nix III is a B. And I was looking at his ratings now. Block shedding 96, that's pretty much going to put him as a lock on my board. And now checking out these 2 receivers, they're both C potential as well. So no B potential or A potentials, which I always want to take with my first pick or 2 picks. And so now it is time to go into the NFL draft, and the New York Giants are on the clock with the number 1 overall pick. There's a lot of pretty solid quarterbacks from the looks of things. There are a lot of very highly rated prospects for the first few rounds, and so I was wondering if that linebacker perhaps could drop to me at 29 overall. And first overall was a defensive tackle. And then I go and see what else is available at different positions, and there's some solid corners available. Blaze Jones, but I have 2 solid corners right now. Bradley McDougall was an option as a strong safety, with Adrian Wilson just being a temporary Band-Aid type of fix. And then I go look at receiver, and no even first-round prospects or third-round prospects, so it really drops off. And you can see here a fullback goes 4th overall. Yeah, this needs some more tuning for Madden 13, and I hope Franchise does have improvements for next year. And so we go look down, and the linebacker was taken. I didn't even have a chance. He was taken pretty early on. And so I go down and see who else is available. And out of my Pro Day prospects, Lewis Nix III is available, so I kept him in the back of my head. And he looks like he's the safest pick for me right now, and that's kind of a position I wanted to address with an aging Kevin Williams. Receiver, there's kind of a shot in the dark with these guys that are even second-round prospects because I don't have any of their ratings or their potential. I try to see if I have anything unlocked for them to see if I can kind of gauge what I can get out of these guys. I got 92 speed for Malcolm Johnson, which is solid enough for me, but I'm going to go and take the safe pick. I'm going to go for Lewis Nix III out of Notre Dame. And he's a 76 overall B potential defensive tackle, and he's 351 pounds. He is the war pig I was looking for. And now we will simulate ahead to the second round, and I'm looking at receivers again, but the highest rated prospects are 4th rounders at best. So George Farmer, 95 speed, but C potential. I'm kind of looking for a little bit more for somebody to start on the outside. I was thinking about Kyle Benson. He's got a lot of speed for a linebacker, and of course I'm a big fan of that, but his coverage ratings really aren't all that impressive, so I kind of wanted to look in a different direction. And there is also defensive end because Jared Allen's getting older, and somebody will need to replace him, but I don't really have a whole lot scouted on these guys, so now I go look at corners, Jonathan Rose, but still not a lot of ratings for me to really gauge anything off of. No coverage ratings, which is what I want. They give you a lot of ratings that really are irrelevant. And so I go back to the defensive ends, and I'm looking at Tony Washington, and I'm going to take him with my second round pick. And now we go ahead to the third round, and once again I'm looking at those wide receivers because I love drafting receivers, and I'm going to get George Farmer because he's got electric speed, C potential, probably not going to be a starter, but at least I can mix him in with maybe Mark Harrison, and maybe that won't even be a solidified number 2 spot. It'll just be whoever's playing the best at the time, and I can worry about that later. Now 4th round, we still got to worry about strong safety with Adrian Wilson being as old as he is, and so I'm looking at Hashawn Clinton-Dix, trying to see if I have any ratings for him unlocked, and once again, no coverage ratings for me to see. And so now I go back and look at receivers again because I like drafting a lot of them and seeing what I can get out of the entire class. But I'm going to go back now to Hashawn Clinton-Dix, and I'm going to draft him to be one of my safeties. So now that was my first 4th round draft pick that I traded Michael Crabtree for. And we go now to my original 4th round pick that I had. Looking at running backs, because even though I have 3, I kind of like to have another option that maybe can handle returns. And I can't really gauge anything on these guys either because I didn't scout any running backs. So all I can really do is look at their height and weight and try to guess what type of player they are. And now I go look at Christian Green. Once again, 68 overall C potential, but he's got electric speed. I can really mix around a lot of those guys and hopefully find someone who can play well enough. And if not, just keep rotating him in through. It's not really a solidified position like I said before. So I'm going to go and draft Christian Green, as I now have 2 fast C potential receivers in this draft class. And now we go to round 5. And there's not a whole lot of options for me. The Marcus Shaw looks like he might be the best bet for what I'm looking for in a 3rd down type of back with some speed that might be able to handle returns. And now looking at fullback again because Jimmy Klein-Saucer, I keep thinking he's going to retire the next year, and then he just keeps coming back, and I just signed him to a 1-year deal, one after another. And now I go back to player management, and I realized that I did not have Andrew Corliss signed, and I really wanted to keep him. I just totally forgot about him during the free agent period, so I'm lucky he was still a free agent. I signed him to a 4-year deal, and that's going to mean him and Rudolph are my 2 tight ends. And with the draft of my new defensive tackle, Louis Nix III, I'm going to release Remy Adel. And go back to the draft now. I'm really looking at these running backs. And I'm going to take Marcus Shaw out of Southern Florida. He looks like he can be a little scat back for me, nice depth, and possibly a return guy. So now we go similar to my next pick I have in the 5th round. I already used the 2 picks that I traded for. And once again, looking at receiver, DeAnthony Thomas. He's probably going to be a low potential, but I love drafting receivers, and I usually do with one of my late round picks, usually a receiver or a running back. Last year it was Kobe Hamilton who had F potential, and now I go and get some linebacker depth. Go ahead to the 6th round, and once again, just checking what's available overall. And I'm going to go now and take that fullback because usually in these late rounds, it's not a whole lot available for potential that's really going to be superstars or anything. So I'm going to go take the fullback who has a 4th round prospect and hope that I can get something out of him. And now with my 7th round pick, I will take DeAnthony Thomas, and that means I took 3 receivers solely based on their speed. And we go now, you can see my entire draft class. I drafted 3 players that I scouted. I drafted 2 players with C potential that I know for sure with my 3rd and 4th round picks. And hopefully I can get some players out of this class. Well, no more after preseason, but I signed all those guys to contracts, and now you can see the rest of my depth chart, what's been changed. There's now Dexter McCluster as a 3rd back. He's going to be a 3rd down running back. And at wide receiver, I get Eric Decker, and it's really going to come down basically 4 guys fighting for the same spot. And I have like 3 receivers now that can handle kickoff and punt returns, so if somebody gets injured, I am definitely prepared. Nate Potter at left tackle, and I get Matt Burke back in Minnesota to play center. Hopefully he can play well. He's already 17 years in the league. I'm really getting some dinosaurs on this team this offseason, him and Adrian Wilson. And you can see Alvin Bailey and Morgan Moses progressed nicely after being rookie starters on my offensive line last year. So last year's draft class with those 2 and Jamez Logan looks like it was overall a very solid draft class to get 3 starters like that after just 1 season. And one thing I want to try out this year is I might move Telvin Smith to defensive end. He's like my utility defensive player. I can put him at any linebacker spot or defensive end, and he's always around the ball whenever I put him in. I don't care what his ratings are or his potential. He's fast, and he's always around the ball. So you can see the rest of my defense here. I got Greenway in the middle. I'm not sure if I want to keep him there, but for now, that is where he is, and Christian Jones, who I drafted last year. So that's 4 starters, actually, from the last draft class. And now cornerback, I only have 4 ones I can really count on. I picked up Sharice Wright in the offseason. I also have Alfonso Smith. So maybe one of these undrafted free agents will make the team. We'll have to see what's available in free agency as well. Keyshawn Terry and Adrian Wilson at safety. Looks like I patched up a few positions, and I'm ready to go for Season 5. So preseason up next, guys. We'll get into the action with the Vikings taking on the Cincinnati Bengals. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.